Hi, Luke. What you playing there, Luke? Hello, we're back for some more demos. Don't everyone get too excited. It's a tough crowd. Yeah, tough crowd, man. So we're going to do some Treble Booster demos just to try and capture some of the differences throughout the years of Treble Boosters. And we're going to start with the booster that we've been using most of this afternoon so far, which is this January 97 Fryer prototype. So Luke's going to play through, we're going to do the slow, quiet piece of Hammer to Fall, and then the distorted part, and then a bit of the solo, just so we get a reference. And then we're going to talk about what's inside it, what it then became, and then listen to that, and then what that then became. And then we're going to go back in time through Treble Booster history.
Will that actual hammer fall at any point?
We do have a hammer, and it will fall. Yes.
Make sure that it's slow and
I mean, hang on. Just answered the call, but I didn't hear it. Well done, Luke. So this booster right here, as I said, was a January 97 prototype treble booster made by Greg Fryer in Sydney, Australia. And the idea behind this booster was that Pete and Brian contacted him and said, we want you to make a booster and we want to see if we can reduce the hiss. Because as we can all probably hear, when the booster's on, you get a hissing coming through the amps. So what they did was they added this potentiometer right here so they could change and alter where the hiss came in on the treble. And they found a setting that they liked, and then they, rather than have a pot in there, they decided on the resistor to use, which then transformed into that booster right there.
Which is called the Brian May Fryer Treble Booster.
So just a quick note, these boosters have all got potentiometers on, but for trying to get them tested all the same, we're going to just keep them full up as per they should be, not turned down, because who wants to do that? So I'd say that sounded pretty similar. I don't know what you guys can hear, because you're probably out there hearing it slightly differently to us, but to us it sounds pretty similar to the one before. So they did a good job of taking that resistor and putting it in the same place to make it sound the same. So anyway, that then came out, and then Brian went on tour, and they produced the touring treble booster. So I believe this is the booster that they started using when they went touring properly with Paul Rogers, when they first came back. There's lots of photos. There's actually a magazine over there with some details of his rig, and I remember on Brian May World, probably still back then, we had some photos Pete posted up where he'd had part of the rig built by Mike Hill, and this booster was on top. So. It's got a little bit more balls to it.
Yeah.
It's like a little bit more punch. I don't know what it sounds like to you guys.
That's what that one sounds.
So the next booster that we're going to go through is the Treble Booster Purple. Treble Booster Deluxe. Again, made by Greg Fryer, and the idea was to try and give an improved sound from the 2008 Fryer Deluxe, with slightly more output again compared to the Super, with a fatter, richer sound. There we go. So what I forgot to say was that was designed to like encapsulate the time, like news of the world and the jazz sound and the live 1979 live Killers. It sounds a bit harsher and a little bit more gain again. Yeah. But it's got that nice bite to it when you can really hear the plectrum come through when Luke's playing. So you get that nice tick, tick, tick that you didn't necessarily. It's a nice color, Doug. It's purple. I know a story about Purple Rain, Thomas Jackson, but I'm not gonna repeat that here. So I don't know if you can hear or agree, but you can like really hear the plectrum coming through on that when Luke's,
Which is a pick.
which is actually a pick, which is actually a sixpence.
Yeah. But you can,
Which is, I really associate that sound with Brian playing from that period because you can really hear that coming through on the records.
Yeah. And definitely on the raspy stuff, you know.
At least we think that anyway. What nobody realizes watching the video is it's only me and you in the room. And then finally is the Treble Booster Super of the Fryer range. We've got some other boosters we're going to go through, but we're just going to go through Greg's boosters first. So this is the blue Super, and I can't remember what it does. So whilst I remember, Luke's going to play.
Okay, we'll tell you later. It's a VC149.
Yeah. So that sounds pretty good. It's a lot richer and fuller You get that really crispy, creamy sound that you get from a decent treble booster. And as Luke said to me, it's trying to replicate the BC149 treble booster, which is arguably the tone that everyone tends to lean towards.
I was just for something maybe you can't actually hear, the way it feels when you're playing it, it just feels like you don't have to hit anything nearly as hard. It's just sitting there ready to go. And the sustain just goes forever. I dig it. And the harmonics, though, the harmonics of the strings, you know, when that just comes out easier.
So that's the Fryer booster. So next up, we actually have a BC149 treble booster made by Mark Reynolds, or Trisonics, from the UK. Hello, Mark, if you're watching. Again, I think it sounds pretty awesome. Yeah. And the BC149 is reference to the Mullard transistor that the circuit uses to amplify the treble. So this is the Cat Ringmaster. So this is Nigel Knight from Knight Audio Technologies, which we heard the Deaky amp earlier. He's worked with Brian a lot, done a lot of work with Andy Guyton, and still continues to make boosters today for Brian May. He designed this Ringmaster, which is to replicate what we're going to listen to next, which is a Rangemaster treble booster back, which is what inspired Brian to use a treble booster originally, because it's what Rory Gallagher was using when he went to see him. It sounds a bit harsher, a bit rawer, a bit roarier. Maybe.
You just make that up.
I wish I hadn't. So the next one up is the replica of the Rangemaster treble booster that Brian heard when he went and had explained to him by Rory Gallagher back in the day, originally when Brian was looking for that sound. Before he put it, back when he had the Vox distortion, before he had the treble booster and AC30 set up. And this is a replica made, and it uses an original germanium transistor, which is different to the silicon transistors that we've heard in the other boosters. Yes, it's a bit like Luke just said, it's less articulate, but it's a lovely sound. It's like really raw, original Queen sound. There's one thing I'd like to do, which we haven't done yet, is just to turn your amp up full. Turn the volume up, have your guitar volume down, just so we can hear the hiss a treble booster makes, so you can understand what Brian's dealing with on stage. It'd be good to capture that.
Sorry.
So this noise you can hear right now is what, if you were to stand next to Brian's amps on stage, this is the volume he plays at. So it's hissing the whole time. So he's putting up with this the whole time. So you can imagine how loud this is going to be if Lucas plays it. Back down to what we're dealing with. And we're back to where we were again. Any questions?
So when did they start using this setup with this last one? Wait. That one there. But the one that's on the stool, when did they start using that?
So that one there is a replica. So it's a modern equivalent of trying to replicate what's going on in that one there. So that one was the original one. When he was trying to find his tone, he went to see Rory Gallagher play, and he always talks about going backstage, and Rory was really helpful, and he asked him, like, what is he using to make that sound? And he sort of designed the guitar to be able to feed back, so there's acoustic chambers in the guitar. And he really liked how Rory sounded, so he explained what it was. The story goes he then went to somewhere in Denmark Street, picked up a cheap AC30, picked up a treble booster, plugged it in, turned it all up full, and the whole thing worked how he'd originally decided to in his head. So from there, we've gone backwards in time. So from there, he's then worked his way through that booster, then to the blue one? The blue one, and then onto the red one, and then he uses something completely...
You just hear the difference all the way through.
Yeah.
You know, because they lived it. So when you did the final one, that was clean. Now is when, that was cool.
Yeah. So you can hear, especially if you listen to the records, you can really hear the difference. If you listen to Queen, the original album, and then you work your way up to A Night at the Opera, Day at the Races, Jazz, up to what they play now, there's a real difference. I'd say he's gone back to, with his current treble booster setup, which is actually mounted on his strap and he uses a wireless system. Sounds a lot more like he used to. Gone away from the noise of the touring, because he's working with Nigel Knight from Cat, and they've really been working hard on trying to make something that Brian remembers and is reliable.
That's awesome.
It's a good question, though. Anyone else? Any questions? Cool. Well done, Luke.